Hey, Hardin County. All right, I'm back. I wanted to give you kind of a longer update on what this solar issue is, right? And why the meeting was kind of a last minute addition and why it's important. So there has been, and it kind of started with Dudley Township. I'm not sure exactly what started, but they have had a lot of solar people interested. They do have a transmission site, a PJM transmission site in Dudley. And so I don't know if that's what's got people started. They have to run transmission lines from it to the other solar farms. They have Solar Ridge that has some land there in Dudley. There's a lot of things that comes with solar fields that are an issue. So anyway, so Mark Schwimmer is a zoning officer for Dudley and some other townships. And so they kind of got on the ball and passed a resolution for under 50. So there's a line for things that are under 50 megawatts. The township can make it a restricted zone. And those under 50 fields can be attached just to the normal power lines that you already have. If it's over 50 megawatts, your bigger projects, then those can be restricted from the county commissioners. They can make it a restricted zone for those bigger projects. There is issues with Senate Bill 52 and most all projects, because there was a big push because this Senate bill was coming through, that a lot of projects went ahead and got to the PJM and got all there. So they're not really affected by Senate Bill 52. So that's a whole nother issue. But we absolutely need to start stepping in and saying we do not want solar in our neighborhoods, and then being able to take that to the Ohio Power Sitting Board. Okay, so Dudley's doing the under 50. You sign a resolution, you have to give so many days, you have a hearing, so many days type of thing. You got to take it to the Regional Planning Commission to make sure their amended zoning is okay. They are a zone county or township, and so they're kind of going through that process. Alongside of that, on a different vein, you have the over 50, which you sign a resolution asking the commissioners to make this change, right? That to restrict the bigger projects. And then that goes to the commissioners. The commissioners then can sign a resolution back that states that they are going to make it restricted. That then starts a timeline for a 30-day waiting period. They have to put it in the paper of the public hearing. They have to put maps at all the public libraries. They have to announce or they have to send mail to all the municipalities, townships, school districts, that there is a restriction happening in the area that they're affected, right? They have the public hearing. They have 30 days. It will go into effect. If people are against it and it's like an 8%, they got to have like a petition. They can file a referendum, and then it will go to on the ballot, right? So there is this process, but from what I understand is that when the township hands over their resolution, the commissioners can consider it, and then they immediately can sign the next resolution, and it starts that timeline. So that's kind of what you're looking at. There's been Dudley, I know Lynn Township had a special meeting so that they could get their resolution signed and off to the commissioners. Cessna County Township is on there. I know a lot of other ones are looking into it, wanting to get on board. I talked to the commissioners, was it last week, kind of about grouping all the townships together so that you kind of have one timeline. The resolution, it just can say all the townships that are on board. You're kind of doing it all at once, especially when it's in the favor of the citizens. If that's your majority, then that makes it easy. They said no, that they didn't want to do it that way, and that they wanted to do it when the townships come, that they address each one individually. And so I said, that's fine, thinking that these resolutions are going to the commissioners and that the commissioners are doing what they said. So here's another part of it. Fred was at Lynn Township, and he said, we asked him if the commissioners are in support. He said, well, you heard what Fred said, or what Roger said, and asked me to repeat what Roger had said, which was that it's always been the stance of the commissioners that they do what the townships want, right? So I thought that was kind of weird. And, I talked to the commissioners last week, right? And again, they will do what the townships want them to do. So you think this is a no-brainer, right? We're just getting this passed through. We'll be restricted. We can have a unified force to go to the Ohio Power Sitting Board and make our case that we don't want these solar fields. We went to, by chance, we happened to make it to the Dudley Township meeting the night before last, and there were several people that showed up asking about the solar situation, and we were kind of notified from Mark Schwimmer and some of the other people that the commissioners were not going to sign these resolutions, the next step of these resolutions, until after January, when Joe Sherman took office, right? And so, that was really news to us. We didn't know anything about it. We went back and, kind of considered it, the people who were involved there, and thought that that was not the idea that we had, that that it was going to their desk and be moved forward, right? Because you're looking at a 2-month time frame to get this effective. And so we knew they had a meeting today. Commissioners are usually always very amiable, that people come in, before the 9:30 meeting, they come in between meetings and, talk. The people, they can kind of come in and they say, hey, do you have a minute? They're like, yeah, we got a minute, come in, talk, whatever. It's really not a big deal. They do it all the time. Today, when we had probably 15 people from several different townships come, and I went in the meeting like normal, and everybody was standing outside, which I didn't necessarily understand until later when, because I did go back, I did step away and go tell the people, like, you're welcome to come in, like, I don't know why they weren't coming in, because it was, they were just sitting there not doing anything for their next meeting. And so they come in. As soon as Leanne Matthews walked in the door, you can watch on the video, Roger says, hey, Leanne, we're not going to hear you today. We have a full schedule. We can't do this and the other. And she didn't even say who she was, what her purpose was, how long, she didn't say anything. It was just immediately, as soon as she walked in the door, was attacked. And so I felt like that was pretty unfair, as the rest of the people come sitting in, or come in to sit. And, I think the bad thing is that it's really, there was only just one question, right? There are people here who are invested and are being personally in, their properties are personally involved in this decision. And the question is really just, are you going to take the resolutions that you've been given from these townships and move them forward, right? That was the whole agreement. So that was the question. It could have been an easy question, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and they would have had plenty of time to go to their next meeting. They didn't hear it. I was told that I wasn't allowed to speak, which is not uncommon, but pretty disrespectful, especially when people are here and other people are speaking, and I'm not allowed to speak. And so you can hear, they end up telling me that I'm disrupting the meeting, and call the courthouse security guard to escort me out of the building, or out of the office. We did stand outside to discuss with some of the other people, and they locked the door, which they don't even have a doorbell on the door anymore. So, you know, it's just kind of a mess. Oh, what I didn't tell you is that I found out later that the reason everybody was standing outside and not coming into the public meeting is because they were told that they had to stand out there. And it's like, I didn't, you know, so I'm assuming because they were here for the solar question and it wasn't on the agenda. But anybody is welcome to a public meeting. You can't tell people that they're not allowed to come in and that they have to stand outside. That's obstruction of a public meeting. So I felt like that was pretty low. You know, anybody, you know, listen, they said that we don't have a big enough meeting room. There were more chairs available. I've been in their office when they've had regional planning meetings, which they do now do in Veterans Hall, because I don't think they want people in their office. And they fill up the place. It wasn't full. So to say that we didn't have enough space to hold the people that were there, that had nothing to do with it. They just didn't want to hear what the question was of the people. And I think that's the biggest concern. You know, so they do have a meeting this next Tuesday at 1:30 that will actually be on the agenda. People can come and ask their question about moving the solar project forward, because that's all it is just keep the process rolling. And why Roger, if he's so for these resolutions, why wait till Joe comes in, right? In the video I do ask Joe what his stance was, and I had previously talked to him about it. And I do have several other people who've said that Joe is not favorable to solar panels. That didn't line up with the conversation that I felt that I had with Joe. Sorry, it's a cuckoo clock. Okay, so I didn't feel like when I had the conversation with Joe that, you know, he didn't really mind solar. I know when the solar lady came in the other day, he was all dressed up. He had on slacks and a tie and was very happy to see her. So, you know, do I know for certain what his stance is? I don't. I would love for him to tell us, because here's the fear, right? That Roger is the one who says that he is for doing whatever the townships want, right? That absolutely, if the townships want to be restricted, he'll restrict, you know, it'll be restricted. But come January, when it's not Fred anymore, or it's not Roger anymore, and Joe gets in, and Joe decides that, he doesn't want to restrict the townships, and that Fred and Tim just go along with him, and the whole game changes, right? So go ahead and sign when we have a verbal agreement that Roger is against solar, and not against solar, Roger is for supporting the townships. Then let's move it forward. Let's do what we've said we're gonna do for the townships and move this process forward. That's all you're asking. That was the whole gist of it. And instead, they just treated everybody in there very disrespectfully. And I do apologize. I knew that, you know, it would be a surprise that we showed up, but like I said, it happens all the time. And I expected them to be more respectful to the other citizens in the room. They decided not to be. And I really do feel that was an unfortunate situation and not what I had really expected, that they would act like that. So I do think Hardin County deserves better. I think that we need to stay vigilant and make sure that the majority of our citizens are being taken care of and not just the ones that they feel are fit. So anyways, Tuesday, come out if you watch this video and you would like to participate in that meeting. I think we are going to get an hour so we can have a time for everybody to speak if they would like to. And, you know, if you want, this resolution needs to go through. So if you have a township, go to your township trustees, let them know that this is on the table, and we don't have much time It's a waste. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Bye.